Welcome back, my ghoulish friends, and happy Halloween! Isn't it the best holiday of the year? I just love it. Be sure I'm having lots of fun right now. Well, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for supporting my channel in its very few weeks of existence. My baby channel now has more than 10 subscribers. This means a lot to me, and I appreciate your support. Today, I have 2 stories to tell. Both of them are very creepy, just right to listen to on a dark Halloween night. So get cozy and enjoy. The first story is called The Wicked House. I remember this story from my childhood. It was told to me directly by a person who participated in the story. Some of the details may not be correct because every time I asked, my uncle, who told me this story, would try to get off the topic, saying, yes, something like that happened, but let's not talk about it again. So the story goes like that. When my uncle and his 2 friends were little children, they used to love running away to the forest and have a day trip like that. They used to call it going on adventures. They pretended to be explorers like Tom Sawyer or Robinson Crusoe or other such popular at the time fictional characters. They would get together with other kids from the neighborhood and roam wild as a gang of 7 to 10 kids at a time. Once, on one of those trips, they gotten pretty far into the forest, the place where they have not been before. They looked around and noticed a little house standing in a small clearance in amongst the deep forest. It looked like it was abandoned for a while. The wooden structure of the house was all skewed. The doors were hanging on only one hinge. Windows were all broken, and whatever glass remained in them was all murky with dust. Inside the house was also very empty. There was only a table and a bench, nothing else, not even a fireplace. All around the house, some small rubbish was scattered, as if some wild animals were living here. Little bones, little piles of animal hair, small bits of cloth, etc. Naturally, the kids just loved the place. They played there all day. Hide and seek, mud cakes, and whatever else was popular amongst the kids back in these days. When it started to get closer to the evening time, they packed up and left, and forgot about the place for a while. A few months later, they remembered about the abandoned house, and a bunch of them agreed to come back for another day of fun. But when they got to it this time, they were in for a surprise. The house still looked dilapidated and abandoned, but now it looked like someone was squatting there. And that someone had some sinister interior design taste. There was a cow's skull above the doorway. All around there were more skeletons and remains of the small animals and birds, some of which were very fresh. They could see the twigs, leaves and tree branches arranged in strange fashion everywhere in the house. The house was covered with symbols and writings that was hard to make out. Some of them were carved into the wooden walls, floor and ceiling of the house. The only one inscription that the children were able to make out was, "If you want to be one of us, kill one of the sevens." This is when the kids lost their playful attitude and got seriously afraid. On top of that, other kids that were still outside came running in and told everyone that they just saw a fire pit outside with smoldering embers in it. Everyone decided that whoever the mysterious and most likely evil inhabitant of this house was, he must have been somewhere not far from there, and they hurried to get out. On the way out, one of the girls that was with them looked behind her shoulder at the bushes that were growing next to the clearing where the house was standing. Under these bushes she saw very tiny little legs, as if a very young child was standing behind the bushes. And these little legs quickly ran into the forest. All the kids ran back to their homes and did not tell anyone about what they saw. And in a couple of days, this girl was hit by a car and died. It was only after a funeral and all that the kids realized that there were 7 of them that day in the sinister house. Another story for today is also about the children. They always seem to be the most vulnerable when it comes to demons and definitely most susceptible to their attacks. I'm always glad that I managed to survive safely through my creepy childhood in Yakutia wilderness and get to live to tell the tale. So the next story is called The Headless Person. This story happened in one of the central areas of Yakutia back in the 70s. There was a boy whose name was lost in the iterations of this story by the time I heard it. And it's not essential, as the story is not about him, it is about his friend. His friend's name was Vasily. He lived nearby, they went to the school together and often played in their spare time. Once, the little boy went to see his friend Vasa, but Vasa's mom said that he is sick and will not come out to play today. So the boy went back home and spent the afternoon alone. Next morning, when he came to see his friend, he found out that he has died. No explanation was provided to the little boy, and he was left terrified and puzzled at the same time. Later on, other neighbors filled him in on some details of the grim circumstances. Apparently, Vasa suddenly started having severe headache. His parents gave him some painkillers and sent him to rest in bed. The headache, however, persisted and began to be unbearable. So closer to the evening, Vasa's parents sent for the doctor. The local doctor came around, but she couldn't help him as she was more like a nurse and not qualified enough. She advised them to get the doctor from the nearby town, but she also said that the boy cannot be transported as this will disturb him too much. So Vasa's dad urgently went to the town himself in his car to fetch the doctor. He arrived with the doctor late at night. They came inside the house, both white as chalk. Turned out that when they were driving back from the town through the forest, around 5 km from the village, they have noticed that they are being chased by a huge headless man. The moonlight was bright enough to see the terrifying tall figure that was galloping on the road only 100 meters behind them. Other details were too hard to make out on the dark bumpy forest road, but both were very sure that the height of that monster, even without the head, was unusually tall, about 2.5 meters. Vasa's dad stepped on the gas and the creepy pursuer soon fell behind. When both calmed down a bit, the doctor administered some injections to Vasa. Then they have put the boy on a stretcher and prepared to carefully transport him to the town hospital. Poor Vasa died halfway. They said that on the way to the hospital, just before he died, he opened his eyes and stared in the window of the car. He could not speak, but pointed in a direction behind them. Adults, wary of the recent encounter, looked behind, prepared to see the headless monster again, but couldn't see anything this time. Few minutes later after that, he died. Thank you for listening, and as usual, have a nice nightmare.